Right, g'day viewers, welcome to another super cool repair video from the Goat Shed, located in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. Now today is Saturday the 11th of March 2023 and it's roughly 20 degrees Fahrenheit out, 20 degrees Celsius outside, which is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. A nice sunny day. So back in December last year we did a video of how to make a stencil by tracing, or in this case it was a freehand one, which Graham did. And we finally got the cabinet back earlier this year, and we're now about to actually apply that stencil to the game. Now what Graham's doing at the moment, he's giving it a light sand with 1500 paper, and what that does, that will allow us to, or allow the paint to stick a little easier. And also, just in case there's any like loose or flaky bits of webbing on there, that'll get rid of those. So just a very light sand, we emphasise. Once he's completed that, we'll actually apply what we call application tape. Now I'll show you that tape in just a moment. This is on a large roll. It's quite expensive. I understand people in the sign writing game possibly use it. There it is there. Now that's roughly 8 inches wide. Alright, now what he's going to do, he's going to start up the other end there, and he's going to rip it a bit off that he needs and stick it down, and he'll roll it along, and he'll apply that to the sanded part of the cabinet. Now just very slowly he does it, so you can do this on your own just to show you. It is better with two people. Normally I'd be giving him a hand, but somewhat difficult when we're trying to make a video. There it goes. Now this tape is one use only, of course. And as I said, I think that roll of tape cost us about maybe 80 Australian dollars. So probably a little bit cheaper in the US. I'll tell you the brand of it. This one is called Orafol. That's O-R-A-F-O-L. And it is made in Germany, yeah. Now he's got a squeegee type thing to just take out any bubbles in it there. You'll notice he's laid it a bit over the front there. That's for protection from when you do a bit of painting later on. Now Graham's been doing this for years. I mentioned before, I haven't got an artistic bone in my body, so he's the guru at this. So he's just doing the next bit. So we thought we'd show you the whole process. A lot of people have asked about this over a period of time, and this is how it's done. Now I've got the gimbal all set up here on a saw hook bench at the moment, so I just can't move around. We're a bit limited with space here presently.
Yeah, the overlap's only about 1/4 of an inch.
Okay, so what he just said there, that new piece he's just putting down is overlapping about 1/4 of an inch onto the first piece he put down. Not so sure, sorry about repeating if he did hear what he said, but he hasn't got a microphone. We're going to try and get a Bluetooth microphone for him. And one for Spanky. Although we probably shouldn't get one for Spanky. God knows what will come out of his mouth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, that's covered because that's where the rail goes.
Yep, so there's a little bit of tape he didn't apply up the top there, or the back of the cabinet. That's where the rail goes, so it doesn't really matter, and there's no paint being applied yet. That's a whole different procedure. So there, that didn't take very long. Now next thing we're going to do is lay the pre-made stencil and tape it down. So there he's got the stencil. This is the one he freehand drew. Now fortunately this is Bowling Queen and the artwork is very, very simplistic.
you're going to do a machine to start with, this is one. Any machine from the 60s.
There you go. Yeah, that any machine from the 60s which had reasonably simple artwork. Do not attempt this on a buccaneer or a card game with the card symbols.
No.
So that's the stencil that was made. It was pre-drawn. Now I'll just let you have a little look at that, just in case anyone forgets. We do recommend that you watch the other video if you're interested in how we did this.
So, yeah, but now the actual stencil is underneath, so it's a mirror image. So I've done two left sides, but it will be okay for this side because once you glue it, you will see the pattern.
Yeah, okay, so once again it's mirror image, so the stencil's underneath and you can just sort of see bits of it sticking through there. I hope you can. Let me just bring that in a bit closer.
So you line up the bottom of the cabinet.
Okay, so lining it up with the bottom of the cabinet, that's how he does it, and the back edge.
So
that's how he does it. I hope you can see that stencil through there. I can see it, so it should come up a bit sharper.
yeah, remember, of course, it's abstract. You can get away with a lot.
Yeah. Being abstract makes it easy. Alright, so he's doing that. Now he's got
A bit of tape down the
got
back.
the tape there. So that's just ordinary masking tape. He's got a ruler there he's flattening it out with. There's the neck that was already done. We did that the other day. Now, we're going to show you how he does the painting procedure soon, but the neck came up quite easily. All you had to do was mask off the front bit there and paint the rest of it in blue. Pretty simple, that one.
Right, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so he just said he's happy with what he's got done there. Here's the master at work.
So if we undo the back tapes and pull it back.
Okay, so he's just folded the back bit over so the bits of tape come off there. Now, what he uses is a glue. Now, let's show you this glue. It's called Spray Fix Sicker Bond.
You'll get 20 games out of 110.
There it is there. Let's see, where's that made? I'll just see if I can see where that's made so you know where you can get it. Well, it just says Australia, this particular one. So, you know, you just need a spray fix which is suitable for fabrics, metals, most plastics, cork, timber and fiberglass, foam and cardboard. So that's what we use. So there's obviously substitutes out there.
Okay, and the squeegee.
He's got his squeegee in his hand now. He's going to spray the glue on to the paper that we laid down, the application tape, I should say.
Not to be thick.
You don't make it too thick. It just needs to be very light. See what he's doing now? He's squeegeeing it out before he tapes it back down at the back. Now, I don't know, Graham must have painted probably in the almost 9 years I've been here. Let's see. I reckon he's painted about maybe 15 to 20 games.
I would have painted well over 100 over me.
And there you go, over his 38-year tenure, he said he's painted well over 100 games. So this guy knows what he's doing. Now, obviously, people have their own little ideas and ways that they want to do it, and hey, that's fine. We're just showing you how we do it.
Now that's sprayed down at the back. So pull that back.
There you go, so now he's going to do the front part of the cabinet. The back's taped down. It's just light spraying.
Spray to the edge, not in front of the edge.
I'll end up getting glued down here myself. Now he's just going to do the same thing, lay it back down, stretch it, squeegee it as he goes. Now he's going to let that dry for about 15 minutes now, And then what we'll do, we'll come out and we'll cut out the actual stencil. Okay, so now the gluing has been completed. You can actually see the pattern of the stencil through there a lot easier. So if you look down here at Spanky's hoof, you can just see the outline of it. So as I said, this is going to dry for 15 minutes and we're going to come back and we're going to cut it out. And you'll see some techniques on how to do this. It's quite simple. We're going to use a craft knife. And obviously where there's a join like here, you just need to apply a bit more pressure to the knife. So you've got to have a really sharp knife. So Spanky normally gets out of the road when Graham's got the knife. So let's get on and do that. Alright, now we're going to commence the cutting out. So we're using a straight edge, so a metal rule. So he's just running the knife down through there, lining it up with the stencil. Traced, of course.
About 3 runs of the knife usually is good.
Yeah, a few runs. Now, a lot of people, including myself, are always concerned about, oh, hang on, you might be cutting a little bit into the wood. Well, it's on the edges, so it doesn't matter, because when the paint goes in and fills it up and the clear coat goes over it, if you do cut a little deep, you really won't see it. So he's just doing the other side now. It's all time-consuming work. This does take a little while. I'm not going to show you him cutting every one of these out.
Yeah, it's probably going to be about half an hour for this side.
Okay, so half hour for this side. Now the same, it has to get done on the head box, but we've already done one side of that, so I'm going to show you the finished result of that soon. We'll show you the preparation for masking on this when this is all done.
Unfortunately, this is where the joint is on the masking tape, so I've got to go a little bit deeper.
So there you go, he's just peeling that up and off. And remember, that's that tape coming off as well.
And sometimes you've got to trim up the corners, but that's mainly because they're on the double tape. But
yeah, so that was near the edge, so that was the 2 lots of the original tape there.
But before you paint, make sure you check all the corners to make sure there's no dags of paper.
Yeah, right. I think that's common sense what he just said, you check all the corners before you paint. So here he goes with the next one. We'll just watch this one. Now this one,
It's got a break in there.
it's got a break in the middle, so it's 2 separate tracings, if I can put it that way. As I said, I can see it through the lens of the camera here, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it. I think you will. All the high resolution screens we've got these days, tellies and computers and so on. There you can see the gaps just here in between my fingers. Now Spanky will tell him if he does anything wrong.
He'll be on to me.
All good fun. So yeah, as we just said previously, if you've got these 60s games, doesn't matter whether they're Williams, Graham, he freehand drew my Williams Full House, if you care to go and have a look at that pattern on the IPDB. He did my Tropic Isle, and he did my Aquarius. There's 3 machines he did freehand. Now Aquarius was the latest game, it's 1970, but Full House is 66 and Tropic Isle 62. They're all just abstract line work, which does make it a lot easier.
You can be out 2 or 3 mil and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no one would ever know. So, I'm not sure how they used to do this in the factory. I guess they've used they had some sort of stencil made up out of something.
I think it was tin.
Tin, maybe, yeah. Now, we have seen a stencil made for a few different games out of that MDF. Now, it's 3mm thick. And of course you can reuse that. That's the beauty of this. See, what we're doing here you can't reuse. You'd have to redo it all. And just as I was saying that, Graham just completed cutting out that one. Now next is a full length one.
Yep.
So full length, break, etc., all the way down.
So the blues are the full length ones and the reds are the...
Yeah, blues full length and reds are the split ones.
But if you get confused, always check a picture before you paint.
Very good advice. Always have a look at the IPDB, and generally we try and look at the brochure on there rather than another machine, just in case someone else done it wrong.
Even if you're 100% sure, still check.
There you go. Good advice. For those purists out there, I know a lot of people don't like painting the machines, and that's okay too. But in this case, it just had to be done. And the owner wanted it redone. It actually was wrong. This one. Yeah, it was. This bowling queen was painted incorrectly. I just can't remember exactly what it was, but that's what we figured out early in the piece. So straight edge and sharp knife is the key here, and a little bit of patience, and you'll be...
We sharpen the knife on an oil stone.
Happily doing what Graham's doing. Yeah, he sharpens the knife on an oil stone.
About every 5 minutes.
Which is what they're good for. We've got a big oil stone over there. I think most people have an oil stone. If you don't, get one if you're going to do this. Plus it is good for sharpening knives. Right, so the cutting out is now complete, as you can see, and Graham's just laying a bit of cloth down over the edge to prevent any overspray. We'll be commencing the spraying in a moment, and we'll show you how we mask up, give you a bit of an insight into that. So you've got to be a little bit meticulous with this. You don't want any blue or red paint inside the cabinet. You've got to try and make it look as neat as possible. So let's just finish this job. So we're going to paint blue first. So they're the long ones. So we're going to mask up where red would normally go. So that's what he's doing now. Now, just so you can see, we put that cloth all around the edge of the cabinet. Like, just to spend a few extra minutes now could save you an hour or so of cleaning up. You can sort of see how the cutting out went. It should be quite clear on the video. So we're quite happy with all that. And remember, with the knife, if the knife edge got into somewhere, the paint will fill it up, and when it's cleared you'd never know. But you've got to just try and be like a surgeon and be as gentle as possible. There's Spanky up the other end having a little look now and seeing what's going on. Oh, it's Skanky. Yeah, wow. Well, I don't know where Spanky is, so we'll have to find him. Oh, there he is. We found him, and he's found Skanky. They've been somewhat estranged over the last few weeks. Spanky's been on drinking binges and so on, but it seems like Skanky has forgiven him. Now, you'll have to forgive our frivolity, but Spanky is our mascot. Yeah, we think Spanky played up a bit up in Coffs Harbour on that little holiday. Anyway, so there you go. He's just got one more to do. Now, because it's only a small area, you can mask the whole area up. If it was like a big circle, you wouldn't mask it all up. You just mask the edges. And there you go. He's happy with that. Right.
Just a quick run around the edge to make sure nothing's lifted. With your finger.
So that's what he's doing now. He's just making sure nothing's lifted, so the paint doesn't get under and you'll have a mess. I mean, it's not a perfect science, but generally this works out quite well overall. Now remember, when this is done, all completed, it'll get done with a satin clear coat. So just before we show you the process, we'll show you in a moment, we'll just show you the head box. So there's the head box. Both sides of the head box have been done, and the front. So I'll just take you around and let you have a little look at that. Here it is here. Now bear in mind the satin clear coat has to go on this. So it'll get a light sand. So there's a closer look at it. We'll come around to the other, here's the top half. So we've still got some fairly warm weather here, and we'll be able to, there's the other side. So it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Looks really nice. And the satin clear coat will bring it up, and that's when we'll sand it down with a bit of wet and dry when we're finished. Okay, so he's going to paint now. Let's have a little look. The old rattle can getting a shake. And there you go, he's going to start down the other end there.
Just a dust coat.
See what he does? He holds it about a foot away from it, yeah, and he just sprays, light sprays. He doesn't do it all in one go, just very light spraying.
No hurry.
And he'll repeat that process. Okay, so here's the first pass. It's only a very light coat. Alright, now we're going to allow that to dry for approximately 5 minutes. Then we'll go and give the next coat a slightly heavier coat. And then we'll give it a final coat, checking for any imperfections that may or may not be there. So there's the first one. So yep, we're just going to have to wait now and see how that looks. But it's so easy to do. It's just the preparation, like any job, which is important, of course. Now, these are the two paints that we're using by Dulux. Now, I'm uncertain where in the world you can buy Dulux, but the blue is called Passionate Blue, and then we have the red, which is a gloss Hot Lips. So both Spanky and Skanky entirely approve of that. Now, if you live in Australia, you can have no issues getting Dulux whatsoever. But we have used a paint which I believe is from America called Rust-Oleum. Look, we didn't have a lot of success with that. Maybe we just got a couple of bad cans, I don't know. But I think I may have read in a thread recently where someone said they don't use it. So, of course, you can only go with what you can get in the area you live in. And we also sort of don't recommend white night paint. Better to use a quality paint if you're going to paint. And once these are painted, they're going to last you another 50 years because they're not going to be abused and scratched and scraped and so on and so forth. So he's applying the second coat now, and as we said, this is a slightly heavier coat. We'll have a look at it in a minute when he's finished. I mean, if we had a timer on, this has probably taken him less than a minute. He's giving it another go. I mean, you've got to be the judge yourself to have a look and see what you feel's good and isn't good. Just trying to keep my brand new phone away from the overspray. Right, let's have a look. Now, looking better, isn't it? You can see now the mark, and there it goes. I'm just going to get away from him there with his paint. He's dangerous.
That'll do for now, and when that dries, we'll go over Beechwood Mist.
Okay, so we'll just have a look at that in a moment. 5 more minutes. We'll let it dry. So here's the third coat being applied now. Notice he's sort of looking at it a little bit more intently now to see what he needs to do. Spanky got out of the road. He didn't want to end up being painted blue.
Although we did like sniffing the paint.
Yeah. We caught him sniffing the paint. There you go. You happy with that, Graham?
Pretty good up to here. A little bit there. I think that'll do the blue.
All right, he's looking at it very intently there. So here's the final coat. Here it is here. Probably hard to disseminate on the video, but we'll let it dry, have another look and see how happy we are. Okay, so that's all nice and dry now. So what he's going to do now, you're going to pull the tape up where the red's got to go. Now it's low tack tape, so don't be alarmed. I think we mentioned that earlier, that we use low tack. You'll only make that mistake once if you use... Yeah, it's generally pretty good.
Dulux dries quick.
Yeah, Graham just said in the background, Dulux is a fairly quick drying paint. And as I said, you know, today is a warmish sort of day. Now he's taping up where the blue was. Or is, I should say, not was.
Just a light press. Around the edges hard, but in the middle light.
So what he just said then, we really have to get him a microphone. Just a light press in the middle, because you don't want to... It's in case it's tacky, but he's always confident he does it well. So he'll just complete that. Okay, so the blue's all covered. Let's take a closer look at that. And we've only left where we're going to paint red exposed. Just make sure everything's down nice and flat.
I'm going to overspray. Right now we'll do the edges on the red. Just a quick going over.
So like the blue, we're now checking the red for edges.
Check if there's any dags.
Remember, like we said, you don't want to get any paint under that tape. It's not the end of the world if you do.
Look, it's not a problem because anything can be touched up. It's okay. Once it's done, you got something looks a bit dodgy. You can touch it up with it.
Yeah, you can always touch it up with it. But there, we're fairly happy with this by the look of it. So let's now paint some red on there.
Right, we're ready to go.
So Graham's just rechecking to make sure there's no imperfections in the corners. Got his fingernail running down the side there.
I think this one's going to be a bit dodgy, but we can touch it up.
Yeah, he might have found a little imperfection there, so not overly worried about it. Alright, there's the old rattle can, got a good shake.
We're ready to go.
Alright, we're ready to paint, so here we go.
Just spray it first to get any dags off the nozzle.
So same as before, a light dust the first go. You get the picture, then we'll come along and do a slightly heavier dust the next go. There you go, so that's all done now. So here goes the second coat, which is slightly thicker as we mentioned. You can see from the results when we showed you the blue how it comes out. Now if you're watching carefully, you saw Graham spray from one side then go round to the other. Now the main reason for that is that each edge you are getting a possible ability of missing out on a bit of paint. So he got that side sprayed all down there, then he came round and got it from the other side.
That way you get that side.
Like that. So that's the concept of that. So the third and final coat is now being applied, and once we've let that dry, we'll be able to reveal. In a moment we'll be pulling off the tape that went over the blue. Righto, so now we're going to commence to take off the tape we put over the blue paint while the red's drying. You don't want to leave it on there too long. Don't want it to get too tacky, even though it is low tack. It's not worth taking the risk. Once we've got that off, we'll then take the apron or skirt we put around there off. just waiting for that red to dry. Now, bearing in mind these stencils were hand drawn, you know, they won't be 100% perfect, but I'll challenge anyone to work it out unless they had one from the factory there and could show what the difference was. You know, it might be out a little bit, might be not quite centered in the thing, but you wouldn't know. So there we go. So the skirt's coming off now, or the drop sheet, whatever you like to call it. Who likes painting? I know I don't. And Graham seems to quite enjoy it. I'd rather fix them. Now what we'll be doing with this bowling queen, as we mentioned before, the cabinet was repaired by our cabinet maker. We're doing the painting or applying of the stencil and painting them. Then we'll be reassembling the machine and doing troubleshooting on it. So we'll be doing at least 1 or 2 more videos on it. The next video we do on this will start with the actual clear coating of the cabinet. Now you can see there a little bit more now of what's been going on. So he's just lifting up the paper at the end. There you go. Slowly but surely, very slowly, up it comes. Sometimes it's best if you get someone else to help you. Here we are, we're still going. We just ripped a bit off, you know, so that you don't have that much overlap. Up she comes. Still going. Anyone bored with this yet? Righto, he's almost at the end now. Just show you the paper hanging over the edge of the cabinet. Now just while I've got the camera there, we've got to do the front, but he's just made a little stencil for that, and that won't be much. Okay, so there's the job is now exposed. And here it is. It's looking pretty good. How's that? Wonderful. You're happy with that, Graham?
Yep.
Yep, he's happy. Spanky's happy. Everybody's happy. So, please stay tuned for our next video on Bowling Queen. We hope you enjoyed this video on how to apply, prepare and paint the stencil. I'm sure you'll agree it's come up a treat. Now Spanky is definitely very happy, and may we remind you to please subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with all our latest videos, and give us the big thumbs up on our videos. And this has been another Goat Shed presentation.